Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Running the Bases podcast. I'm your host, Michael Garaffa, alongside Marco Peralta. Ryan Blank and Nick Nath should be joining us shortly. Boy, oh boy. Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday morning, October 25th, and this is Season 2, Episode 16. If you're listening on Blaze, we hope you have a great night. And obviously, again, if you are listening on Blaze, don't forget that this show was pre-recorded the day before. So if we say things like yesterday, we're talking about Saturday, October 24th. This show has been, we have discussed so many different things as Nick joins us now. We have discussed so many different things that have happened in the group chat that we have in the last 12 hours. And let me just say, I had this entire show planned out. We were ready to go. We were going to discuss what happened through the first 4 games, preview the next few, and, give our predictions. And then we're going to hop in, which we will still do, hop into a recap of every World Series of the decade. However, I was sitting last night during the game and I said, okay, we're in the bottom of the ninth. Things are starting to happen. But I said, there's really nothing at all that could happen. Maybe one magical thing, 1 in a million, that could happen that would change the outline of the show and make us talk about something different. And that 1 in a million thing did happen. And before we talk about anything, it is important that we show that one thing. So I'm going to show you guys here. This is a clip of what happened last night in Game 4 of the World Series. Do you guys see this all right?
Yeah.
All righty, let's get it. Let's get it playing. Let me know if you don't hear any volume.
Just raise it up a little bit.
So that is what we're dealing with here. We will stop the sharing of the screen and we'll return back. And now that I found out that I can share my screen, it's important to get little tidbits like that in there. But my, oh my, the 1 in a million play, and we're going to give you the recap of it right here for however long it takes. I don't care. Before we get into it all, I want to I wanted to start with, we're going to start doing a little bit of different format where I'm going to let you guys go first to start off segments. But for this in particular, this is the one segment that I'm going to preview it and then let you guys go into it. So I thought about it this morning when I got up that we have in this scenario there had to be about 50 different things that had to happen in order for this to happen exactly the way it did. And it all started with Cody Bellinger being hurt and not being in center field. It then trickled down to Julio Urias coming out of the game a little earlier, potentially leading to some different pitchers making mistakes earlier than they needed to. Then you add on top of that, you go towards the end of the game, A.J. Pollock, who was in center field, who's a fairly good defender, is replaced with Chris Taylor, who is not a center fielder. He is a second baseman by trade. He then is put in the center field. So looking at this play, Brett Phillips is up to the plate, coming to bat. He was a pinch runner previously for Ji-Man Choi, who was a pinch hitter for Mike Brasso. Everyone's thinking, okay, this is the best case scenario for the Dodgers. The worst hitter in the lineup's coming up. That should save us. You've got Brett Phillips coming to the plate, 2 out. You've got Kenley Jansen, who's struggling, arguably could have been out of the game anyway. Ball hitting the right field, you've got right away, the game is tied. Chris Taylor, the first big mistake after the ball is hit is Chris Taylor booting the ball, it gets away. The next mistake is the third base coach waving a Rosarena around. Don't know why he did that. He was clearly dead to rights. Then Chris Taylor throwing the ball home instead of throwing to another base, which led to a Rosarena going home. And then a Rosarena stumbling and falling, coming to home plate, turning around, the throw to home by Muncy, from Muncy to, I don't even remember who was catching. It was either Smith or Barnes. Was it Will Smith that was catching at that point?
Yeah.
Could have been Austin Barnes, should have been Austin Barnes, who's a better defensive catcher. He drops the ball, it gets away, and Arozarena comes in and scores. There were about a million different things that needed to happen in that play for the Rays to win, and they all happened. I'll open the floor to you guys. I just spent 5 minutes talking about this. We'll start it off with Marco because obviously it's your team, and I want to hear your reaction, and then we'll go throughout the rest of the panel here because, boy, oh boy, I'm focusing on this for a reason because it's important.
Can I go last?
Sure, you can go last. We'll open it up. Ryan wasn't here last week. We'll give it to Ryan. You can kick us off this week.
Wow, I'm honored. I'm honored that I get to go first this week.
Different. We're different on this guy.
Well, really, just a poor play. Honestly, this is a game that the Dodgers should have won. The Rays kept punching and punching at him. It's like a good boxing fight. They kept punching, getting those great hits, and now you see the Dodgers responding to their best punch and scoring runs. That's the worst I've seen the Dodgers bullpen look this year. I don't know why Dave Roberts decided to stick with Pedro Baez after he gave up a 3-run homer. It doesn't make sense. This is why a lot of fans don't like Dave Roberts. It's because he is awful at managing a bullpen. And it proved last night. So there's that first mistake. Why was Chris Taylor in center field? Why? Where's A.J. Pollock? I know Jock Peterson came in, but still, why is Chris Taylor in center field for that play? He's a second baseman. That doesn't make sense. This game could easily go on Dave Roberts for his poor managing. But looking at it, though, the play itself, horrible misread from Taylor, and then a bad throw from Max Muncy, but Will Smith thought he had the ball and went for the tag.
I even forgot to mention that Kenley Jansen didn't back him up.
No, he didn't. Kenley Jansen did not back him up. First mistake from Kenley Jansen on that type of play. You got to make sure you're backing up your catcher. That's easily on him too. That looked like Little League baseball out there. Those are plays that should have easily been made. That game should have gone into extras. And I would take the Dodgers in extras because they got the firepower on offense. So that's frustrating because Dodgers should have won that game. They have to be better with their fielding. That was poor. In that situation, you should have moved Mookie Betts to center. Mookie Betts makes that play, 1-run scores. And you go into extras, most likely. That's how it should have been. Instead, Dave Roberts messed up. And he's got to be better than that. And I think that his reaction says it all. Him slamming his wrists, I think he realized he was wrong. And I don't think he'll make the mistake again. But this is a momentum shifter. The momentum's all with the Rays now. If the Rays win tonight, that is a series changer. So this is going to be a very interesting game tonight to see how both teams respond.
Absolutely. Nick, will toss it to you.
Wow. That would have been one of the best games I think I've ever seen start to finish. That was just from beginning to finish, it was just amazing. There were so many twists and turns, and it was just crazy. I don't know if you can put all this on Dave Roberts, honestly. Because they really, I get having Chris Taylor in center isn't the best idea, but they literally had the game right there in front of them for the taking. The last out could have been made after that play was over. It could have been out after Brett Phillips hit the ball to Chris Taylor. 1-run score, they could have been over. But no, they try to do everything extra, And it's just like honestly like a lack of communication. This is the one season where there's not a ton of fans, where you can actually hear your teammates and properly communicate where the ball should be going. Yeah, you still find a way to make a mistake, and you still find a way not to even tag someone that was still falling down on the third base line, and he eventually comes in to score. So I don't know. This is like the Dodgers in a nutshell when it comes to the postseason in this decade. I'm sorry to say, Marco, but time and time again, you find a way to shoot yourself in the foot. It should be 3-1 right now. It's really unfortunate, but now we have an even better series ahead of us. I think 3-1 would have been a little bit too much of the race to come back, but now 2-2, it's anyone's ball game. So tonight is a must-win for honestly both teams. Obviously, 2-2 winner of Game 5 usually ends up winning the rest of the series. So I'm excited for tonight, but that was just so crazy. I just have no words.
And I think you summed it up perfectly there with the fans not being as loud and being able to hear it. And I think before Marco goes, I was watching a recap of the 2017 World Series yesterday, and to quote Joe Buck after Game 6, this series is too good for 6 games. And I think that's going to hold true here. This series has been 10 times better than we thought. It has been the biggest fear for the Dodgers fans was that the Rays offense would wake up, and they did. And that's scary. It's very scary. And obviously as a baseball viewer, it's making great baseball. I mean, last night, even though I've been pulling for the Dodgers, that was one of the best games, if not the best game I've ever watched. That was the best game I've ever watched start to finish, because the Game 5 in the 2017 World Series, I went to bed after the 4th inning because I was on the East Coast, and that game went to like 3 a.m. But Marco, let's hear what you got from a Dodger fan. I'm interested to hear that perspective, and let's try and maintain the composure. let's attempt it.
What can I say? It was a great start for the Dodgers. I felt really good. I was at a bar with a friend of mine. We're both Dodger fans. We felt pretty good, and we just saw Rosarena going on a tear. We're like, this guy's carrying the Rays, and his momentum really helped the Rays. And my gosh, I was just I'm still in disbelief, man. Like, I've watched that play like at least 15 times since it happened, because I'm like, how did this happen? How did this happen? Like, I was expecting, okay, tie game, extra innings. I'm okay with that. We could win in extra innings. But then I see a Rosarena sliding to home plate with Will Smith chasing the ball. This is just ridiculous. You know, I have my little notes here. Right here.
That's a lot of notes.
Say really quick. Basically, what you guys said, I agree with a lot of it. Cody Bellinger, unfortunately, he couldn't be in the game as a center fielder. If he was in center field, it'd be a different type of ball game. Urias should have finished the 5th inning. He should have finished. He had 1 out to go, and he was pitching really good on the mound. I don't know why they take him out. He was doing phenomenally. When he was in jams, he would get out of them by himself, and he would trust his defense. And Roberts didn't see that. And what does he do? Goes with Pedro Baez. Next thing that happens, Rays are in the lead. When you see that happening as a manager of a Major League Baseball team, you should be like, yeah, he should come out. He's done for today, because now we're losing. We need to fix our pitching. What happens the next inning he comes out? Another home run by the Rays. Dodgers came back and got the lead, but still, the Rays took the lead again. Gratterall, they did a disservice to him. He was doing a really good job. I was okay with he would have gone out in the 9th inning. He should have, because the momentum was all on his shoulders. He was locked in. As soon as he came out of the bullpen, he had those Kobe cleats on. He's like Mamba mentality, bro. Mamba mentality. He was locked in. He shouldn't have come out. He would have gone to the 9th inning, and maybe if he was in a jam, maybe bring in Kenley. Even if he was in a jam, I would have been still nervous if Kenley would have come in. But he should have stayed in the 9th inning. He should have gone into the 9th inning. Kenley just put me nervous like crazy, and it was ridiculous. When he saw Rosarena come up to the plate, And we know what happened in Game 3. Kenley gets homered off by Rosarena, to be exact, to left field. I'm like, bro, don't try to challenge him. You have 2 outs. 2 outs. Walk the guy. Don't waste your arm. Don't waste your pitches. Focus on Phillips. You have a better chance against him than a Rosarena. But now you wasted your arm. You're a little bit tired, maybe, because you're not really throwing the ball really well. And you give up that single that costs us the game. And to make things worse, you don't back up your catcher. Like some people are like, oh, it didn't matter. It didn't matter when he threw the ball. Okay, maybe because usually in that play, the pitcher's right behind the catcher, depending where the ball's been thrown. But he didn't do neither. I would have been a little bit less mad at him if he was actually behind his catcher and he attempted to go for the ball when it got deflected by the umpire. I would have been a little bit less mad with him. But the fact that he was still kind of on the mound, on the third baseline, not covering his catcher, just makes me mad. Like, you don't do that. You go cover up, back up your catcher, and try to do a job. And my gosh, Chris Taylor, Will Smith, what are the fundamentals of baseball? You always have to secure the ball before you make the play. And in those 2 errors, they imagined they had the ball already before they made the play. And that cost them the game. And I agree with what Ryan said. Mookie should have been in center field. Or even Jock Peterson should have been in center field. He's got drafted as a center. Taylor, he's a left fielder at most. You know, he's an infielder, but he plays left field and center field. I would have been happy if I saw Mookie Betts or Jock Peterson at center field because they make those plays happen. Just do. It was just a difficult game to watch. And it did give me those flashbacks of Game 5 of the World Series in 2017. But the guys have to do better. Kenley has to do better. If he ever goes back into the series, he has to do better. Play smart baseball, man. Play smart. Don't try to be a wise ass. Pardon my language. Don't try to be a bad son of a gun and try to challenge people who are red hot at the plate. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You play smart baseball and you do what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think 2 things that I want to hit on there. The first was all around Kenley Jansen just needs to we said before the series that one of the biggest wild cards entering the series will be Kenley Jansen. And we straight up said it. Kenley Jansen is going to be the biggest question mark in the series because he hadn't been perfect. And I mean, it lived true. It's been true all series. He hasn't been perfect, and that's been a big part. And the other thing that I think is pretty funny is that it's almost as if it reminds me of when I'm playing MLB The Show and I make a substitution for my center fielder to get a better bat in there, and then I end up leaving the guy in that position because I just forgot to take him out. It's almost as if Dave Roberts forgot that he had Chris Taylor in center field and was like, oh no, I forgot to put the guy I wanted in center field to be in center field. Because I would do that all the time in MLB. You know, you pinch hit for your second baseman because he doesn't hit, and you've got Mike Trout playing second base, and you're like, oh God, I made a mistake. But it's almost as if that's what happened here. I mean, I'm surprised I would rather have because I always try and compare everything to the Mets for my mom because she doesn't know the players as well as I do, and it makes it easier to connect with if you compare it to the Mets. And I compare it to if you put Jeff McNeil in center field. Jeff McNeil, a drafted second baseman, plays a lot of outfield, but isn't the greatest outfielder in the world. Throw him in center field. Why? It wouldn't even make sense. So there's so much that went into this play, but focusing on the aftermath of the play, I think was even better. I mean, after the play happened was where the magic really happened. I mean, I saw a news story this morning on MLB At Bat of the best reactions. And, you had in there, it started right away with the Rosarena coming onto the plate and just lying there. Didn't get up, didn't celebrate. He just took a nap on home plate. Willie Adames jumping over him. They run out in the left field. Brett Phillips is airplaning in left field. And then you've got Kevin Kiermaier after Brett Phillips jukes Kevin Kiermaier out, and then Kevin Kiermaier just practically falls and just tumbles over in the center field. I mean, and then Brett Phillips is doubled over. I mean, I think Brett Phillips blacked out because he was riding on so much adrenaline. I mean, even Randy Rosarena riding on so much adrenaline that he's just sitting there at home plate like, what just happened? And
I would have done the same thing. I would have stayed at home plate.
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing. Like, I can't believe I'm actually here. I can't believe I'm actually home.
And for Brett Phillips, his post-game interview, he was sitting in the dugout 2 minutes after the play, being handed like a bottle of cold water because he was clearly, I genuinely think he almost passed out. And to see that raw emotion, and then I wrote to guys saying in his post-game interview that because he looked high as a kite, and he was acting high as a kite because of how adrenalized he was. I mean, this is a man who's running on so much adrenaline that he could probably pick up a car and throw it. And I think that's just it. I would love to hear your guys' reaction to that. And we'll start with Nick this time around because, I mean, obviously just in general, this is just the aftermath was even more exciting than the actual play itself, which doesn't always happen.
Are you referring to the interview?
No, just anything after the play. Anything you want.
All right.
You can talk about any of it.
Yeah, I just want to focus on before, like, we've talked about after the play, like, what Kenley Jansen was doing, and I just have no idea. Like, someone needs to talk to him about what he was doing. As the play was going on, he was just standing there on the mound. I get it. Like, sometimes you just have to watch and see what's going on. But, like, in that situation, as a former catcher, he grew up – he grew up not even pitching. Like, he knows what to do in the situation. He should know that he should back up his own catcher in the situation. Because if he's back there, he gets the ball back, and then it's still a one-run game. Or still a tie game, sorry. But no, he didn't – it just – they forgot the fundamentals of baseball all in one play. And it amazes me how there's so many mistakes in just one play. But going to the aftermath of it, I just think it's just really funny how Rosarena slipped on third base and still managed to score because Kenley Jansen isn't backing up the throw.
I love the energy. This is great.
It's just, I don't know, like looking back on it, analyzing like just little things, it's just so frustrating to watch as a baseball fan. But it's just so, as a baseball fan, it's just crazy to think that this is one of the best sports ever because things like that can happen.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you bring up the greatest point that none of us were even thinking about. And I don't know, you might be the first person to be thinking about it. Like, Kenley Jansen was a catcher. He was a catcher. And he didn't even back up the catcher. Like, how do you not do that?
I totally forgot about that because I'm just so pissed at him.
Exactly.
I totally forgot about that.
He was a catcher. You would think your instinct would be, okay, let me go block the plate. Like, I don't understand. It's crazy. Whoever, Marco, Ryan, whichever one of you wants to go first, we'll go to you, and then we'll flip to the other words afterward.
Ryan unmuted, so go ahead, Ryan. Yeah.
First off, you guys say I try to relate a lot of stuff to the Royals. Well, guess what I'm going to? Brett Phillips, baby. I was rooting for him really hard. Yeah, I want the Dodgers to win this World Series, but at the same time, I was rooting hard for Brett Phillips to drive in the game-tying run there because he never really got a shot with the Royals. He was acquired by the Royals from the Mike Moustakas trade to Milwaukee and always been a terrific defender. Always. Not the best hitter. And look what he does. Biggest at-bat of his life. Goes out there, puts a ball into the outfield, ends up getting the game-winning hit. Well, off errors, but you get what I'm saying. So that was awesome for me to watch as watching a former Royal. But I think that play showed how important the fundamentals of baseball are and how you always have to go back to the fundamentals. I played competitive baseball for many years, and the one thing that coaches always emphasize is fundamentals. Put your glove on the ground. Pitcher, cover behind the plate. Don't stand on the mound. I don't get it. I just don't get it. These are professional athletes. They're getting paid millions of dollars. They should be able to use the fundamentals and perform them to perfection. And that didn't happen. And I'd be extremely frustrated because the fundamentals are where you start learning baseball. And you gotta go back to your roots and make sure that you're doing the fundamentals perfectly. And Dodgers didn't do it. Chris Taylor, I'm going to say again, should have never been in center field. Shouldn't have been. Should have been Mookie Betts. So Dave Roberts did a poor job managing this, including the bullpen the entire game. Just a game that the Dodgers should have won. You take out Pedro Baez, it's a different game. So that's my thoughts on it. But overall, this has been a terrific series. But I think if you're watching this series and watching last night's ending as a Dodger fan, you just have to think, why? Why? You're such a talented team. Why can you not perform the fundamentals perfectly? It's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Marco, we'll leave it to you for the final thoughts on the subject before we hop into the best World Series of the decade.
I'll just say that I made a post on Facebook and Twitter yesterday saying, like, after tonight, I don't know how people say baseball is boring because of the fact baseball is amazing. Worried about to get into the World Series, and we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 10 series go to 7 games. That's amazing. It's amazing. But I agree with Ryan. Why? We're such a talented team. It just sucks to see that happen. Like Dave Roberts said it yesterday. Now it's a 3-series game, 3-game series. There you go. Sorry, I can't even think right now. 3-series game, and it's going to be just like the wild card this year. Whoever wins the next 2 games is going to be the champion. And I'm not panicked about it because, well, I'm not really panicked, but I'm just thinking about it because today, Game 5 is going to have Game 7 momentum to it, feeling to it, because whoever wins this game is in the driver's seat, in my opinion. And Nick said it earlier. Usually the team that wins Game 5 wins the series. So this Game 5 has implications of putting someone in the position to win the game, obviously, win the series. So this is going to be a really good game. We got Kershaw on the mound today. Hopefully he pitches well like he's been doing so far. And we'll see who they throw for Game 6 if the Dodgers end up winning tonight. And I just hope that we clinch it in 6 because I'll be there.
All we can do is hope. I mean, it would be great to have a member of the podcast at Game 6 of the World Series. Marco, that was not on purpose. Marco could possibly be there. That would be amazing.
If they win today, I'm headed to Texas.
Yeah, that would be exciting. I wish I could be there with you. We'll all be riding there with you mentally, and we'll be excited for that. But the Dodgers have to win today. So on a more positive note, it is important to talk about in what is shaping up to be, baseball, baby, shaping up to be one of the best World Series ever, and an exciting World Series at that, and mainly because of how everyone predicted it to be uncompetitive, one-sided, and here we are with the possibility of going 7 games. And I mean, hey, anytime everyone says Game 7 is the best game in baseball, in sports, but honestly, Game 6 is almost just as good because it's that tension of, and we are guaranteed to have the Game 6, and it's that tension of, Ryan, I'll get you after. It's that tension of wow, if we win, we move on, or if we lose, and if we win, we force a Game 7. It's almost just as intense, and we will have that game 7. But Ryan, what you got? Well, we will have that game 6, but Ryan, what you got?
Yeah, I just want to attest to what you're saying about Game 6.
Oh, you're echoing. What? Why?
Am I still echoing?
Yeah, you're echoing. If you go to the cam mic thing and you go to audio, there should be a checkbox that says echo cancellation. I would try that, and if that's checked off, give that a shot. But if not, then we'll just disconnect the mic altogether. But while he's figuring that out, it's an exciting series, and there's nothing other to say than this series is going to be incredible for the last 3. Ryan, did you get that?
Am I any better?
No, it's still echoing. Just disconnect the mic and we'll go from there. But well, now we can't hear you at all. You have to change the setting because it's gonna. Oh no, you're good. We hear you. It took a second to adjust.
Yeah.
Technical 2020 problems. This is what we're dealing with. This year.
I just want to attest to what you're saying about a Game 6. I'm going to go back to the 2014 World Series. Yordano Ventura against the Giants. 7 shutout innings. Huge performance for the Royals to force a Game 7. So Game 6 is a very big game because you see the World Series, those unlikely stars are born. Last night it was Brett Phillips. 2011, David Freese. And we'll get into that.
Yes.
And then you also have Yordano Ventura from 2014. So Game 6s are huge. And I completely agree with what you're saying. And you've seen those big performances like that.
Yeah, and that is really, you summed it up perfectly. This is Game 6, which we are guaranteed to have. You get that. And my immediate reaction after the game last night was instant classic. That's always the term we hear after games. Last night was an instant classic that we will be watching for 30, 40, maybe even 50 years to come. And my proof for that is that we're still watching Game 6 of the 1986 World Series today with the Bill Buckner play. And this is going to go in the history books. It's going to. And I can't wait to tell my kids, grandkids about it and to say, hey, I watched it. And that thing, it was insane. So that leads us into the next topic today, which is ranking every World Series of this decade. We have had, obviously not including this, we have had 10 incredible World Series that have taken place in the 2010s. And by ranking it, what we are going to do is we are going to go over each one, not in tons of detail, but we're going to say who won the series, maybe a little bit about it, and the series MVP, and each one of us is going to give it a score from 1 to 10. We'll go just in order of how we are here with that score. It'll go me, Marco, Ryan, Nick, and we'll just say, let's say 4, and then we'll add it up, and that'll be the total score for that World Series, and at the end, we will put them all together. So we started off, we're going to obviously start from the very beginning with 2010 with the Giants and the Rangers World Series, the very first World Series of the decade. And honestly, the World Series that I know the least about, because I think there's a reason for that, because it wasn't that memorable of a series. It was just a one-sided Giants took the series over the Rangers. The Rangers were in that period where they were a good team, but they weren't necessarily there yet. And they ended up losing the series as the Giants won 4-1, and the series MVP was Edgar Renteria. If you guys have anything to say about it, if you want to talk about the series at all, you can just let me know, and we'll let you guys go with that. And if not, we'll just go into scores, or if you want to say it when you give your score. Actually, that'll be better. We'll go box by box, and then when you're giving your score, if you've got anything to say about the series, then you can give that input. So I'll start it off, and I'm going to give this series a 4. I think this series was it was an okay series. It was a one-sided series. I mean, I don't remember much about it, so it didn't have those memorable moments, so I'm just going to stick with that 4.
Yeah, I realized I did this pretty wrong. So I thought we are just doing top 10. Like, what was your number 10? So
it's okay. Actually, you can give it those scores. You know what you're ordering.
I also thought that.
What's that, Nick?
I also thought that. So
that's actually good, because in this way you can give them scores going up the ladder, and you can just score them that way. That might actually make it easier for you, because then this way you've already done the thinking process. So if Marco, if you're ready to go, then we'll.
Okay, so that's the 2010 one. So in my rankings, I had as number 7 in my top 10. So in score wise, I give it a 4, just like you did.
Okay.
Like it was really one-sided. The only thing that basically stands out for me is that it was the beginning of a triple World Series run for the San Francisco Giants, the even years championship that I hated so much watching. And I'm not gonna lie, my brother-in-law tried to make me a Giants fan because of that, and I'm like,
Oof.
do you want to die? Like, do you want to die? But I gave it a 4. It was very lopsided for the Giants, and it was just the beginning for them on their 3 championship runs. So I give it a 4.
All right.
Do you want me to go?
Yes, yeah. We'll just go in order of how you guys are on screen.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, I also give it a 4. I think what I realized about this series is because it was just so lopsided. Of course, it was the Giants' first World Series since moving to San Francisco in 1958. So that's very cool. First World Series since they moved there. So that there's that historical meaning to it. They also had Buster Posey, who at the time was a rookie, Pablo Sandoval, who was really good. Then here was their pitching dominance. Lincecum, Matt Cain, Baumgartner, Barry Zito. And then they also had Brian Wilson.
The year freak.
Yes, the freak.
But what you're seeing is it's just a very lopsided series. And Edgar Renteria, I remember watching this, and he didn't have flashy stats. He only had, I think, 2 home runs in the series, but he batted over 400. So that's why he really got the MVP. But yeah, this is not the best World Series, if I may say so.
All right. Nick?
Yeah, this was the year before I started watching baseball intently, so
Same.
I don't really remember nothing about this series. But I'm looking at these box scores right now, and I'm just getting nostalgic. Like these are just these names I'm seeing. I'm seeing Cliff Lee was pitching for the Rangers. Natali Feliz was the closer. Nelson Cruz was in his prime. And it's crazy to think that at the beginning of the decade he was raking, and at the end of the decade he's still raking. And at the start of a new decade, still raking.
Yeah.
No, but all in all, this was, as you guys mentioned it. This is Marco said it perfectly. I was also going to mention that this was the start of their even year World Series runs, which I think is impressive, but it's gonna be really sad in 2 years. But yeah, overall a lopsided series. I probably give it like a 4 out of 10, and probably give it like a 9 on the rankings.
Man, I remember when Tim Lincecum was my favorite pitcher in baseball. I just loved his
Brian
delivery.
Wilson was so fun to watch with the X.
Yeah,
so exciting. That was a great time. That was a great time for baseball. We're still living in great times. That brings us to 2011. So the score for the 2010 World Series is a 16. So that probably will be towards the bottom. That brings us to, well, I would say arguably the best World Series of the decade. And this series had it all. The Cardinals and the Rangers in 2011 was the World Series. When I think of the World Series, this is the first one I ever watched. Pretty good one for the first one I ever watched, and you too, Nick. I mean, this series had it all. I mean, it was Nelson Cruz was on fire. I mean, he had so many home runs. The offense was all over the place. The Rangers were they were insanely talented, but David Freese single-handedly carried the Cardinals on his back. They were down 3-2. And they forced a Game 7 and then won Game 7, and they came back and won it all. I am going to go bold here because, you know what? I'm giving it a 10. It was worth the 10 in my opinion. It was an insane series, and all in all, fantastic.
I agree. Cards Rangers. That wasn't my first series. I'm trying to remember which one was my first series that I watched as a baseball fan. But the reason why that series stands out to me, that was the first series I ever watched with my dad, because he was he's kind of a Cardinals fan, because he's a big Pujols kind of guy, and he liked them a lot, so we watched the series together. And man, it was just fun to watch. I was getting to understand the game, and I was like, this is really, really fun. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw David Freese go to the Dodgers a couple years ago, I just got flashbacks to 2011, and I'm like, I hope he does that for us in the World Series, but unfortunately he didn't. because we couldn't
He
make
did
it.
in the NLCS.
But you want that in the World Series more than anything else in the world. But yeah, David Freese, he's one of those guys, the first guys that really impacted my life in baseball because of the 2011 World Series. You know, that home run to walk it off to force a Game 7, even though that Joe Buck call was a little bit bad, but still, like, that was just a fun series to watch. Rangers with full throttle with Nelson Cruz, and also you had Josh Hamilton when he was really good at crushing the ball. The Rangers seemed like they were going to be the team to beat. Dude, George Bush was there. That's when I felt like this series is something out of this world. I'm like, the president of the United States is at the game, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh. But anyways, I got to give this series a 10.
All right.
Yeah, this was a terrific World Series. This is my highest ranked one, and I actually give it a 9.
Okay.
I think this is a terrific series. I just talked about how Game 6 is so incredible and how the World Series can bring out those unlikely heroes and stars. Prime example is David Freese with that walk-off Game 6 home run.
We will see you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
With the hoarse voice because he clearly had like the flu or something.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was just incredible. Neftali Feliz had him, and that was it. So it was terrific to watch. I remember watching that with my friends, and being from Kansas City, you're split.
Mm-hmm.
You're either a Cardinals or a Royals fan. A lot of my friends are Royals fans, but there's a couple Cardinals fans. They were going crazy that day. But no, it was a terrific series. I actually have it as the best series of the past decade because of David Freese and, you know, Pujols being a big piece of that. So, plus, who doesn't love Game 7 after a dramatic Game 6 walk-off?
I agree, Nick.
Yeah, you guys said it best. This is my highest. I think this is a 10 in my books. Best World Series of the decade. I live with a Rangers fan, and he specifically doesn't watch baseball anymore because of this series. The name David Freese haunts him. The call, "We will see you tomorrow night," haunts him forever. So, you know, I don't know. This was David Freese's coming out party, and this series had it all, from Pujols hitting 3 home runs in one game to David Freese being the hero to, you know, the Rangers being down to 1 strike like this year, like they're down in the last strike 2 games in a row. You know, this one would really haunt Rangers fans. If I were a Rangers fan, this one would really sting because, you know, back-to-back years in the World Series, and and David Freese just doesn't let you even get close to one. So this was probably the best series. Yeah, the best series of the decade, like you guys said.
And we're all, it's pretty clear this is most likely going to end up as number 1. It gets a score of 39, only leaving 1 point for any other series. And Ryan said that was his highest ranked, and I'm not sure if I can give any other series a 10. So that brings us to 2012, which is another series that was very one-sided. And honestly, not much to say. Obviously, unfortunate for Nick. This was the 4-0 series.
I just saw his face instantly.
The 4-0 series where the Giants swept the Tigers. We don't need to spend much of time on it to know that this series is very one-sided. Pablo Sandoval, the MVP. I'm going to go out and give this. I enjoy 4-game sweeps more than a 4-1 dominating series. I'm going to go out and go with a 5 on this one. Not a high score, but not a low score. I would give it a little bit more than what I would give that first series because it was just a fun series.
So I have a question for you, Michael.
Yes.
What are you giving the 2015 World Series then, buddy?
That was a solid series. I would probably we'll get to that. It will not be lower than this series though. I'll give you that. So Marco, what do you got?
So like I said, I'm doing the reverse of the top 10. So I'm going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's the score. So for this one, I put a 2. Because it was just Nick, but it just wasn't entertaining because the Giants were just dominating. You know, we live for those 6-7 game series because nothing's better than Game 6 or Game 7. Like Michael said, we've all said. So, yeah, just the fact that it was a sweep. I'm like, good for them. They go in the history books as one of the few teams that can actually sweep a World Series. But yeah, I'm like, we want more games, especially in this time. Well, this year we have less games. We have 60 games. But yeah, I'll give it a 2. I'll give it a 2.
I could feel the disappointment from Nick. Ryan, what you got?
I have it as a 3. And I think this was a very sad series because who won the Triple Crown that season? Miguel Cabrera.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was lined up perfectly for the Tigers. Game 1, Verlander versus Barry Zito. They were ready to go. Pablo Sandoval, Game 1, joins Babe Ruth, Reggie Jackson, and Albert Pujols as the only players to homer 3 times in a World Series game, with 2 of those coming off of Verlander. Detroit never really put out a strong game. Maybe besides Game 4, they were shut out in Game 3 and 4, but it went into extras the final game before Marco Scudero had that game-winning single, and then Sergio Romo closed it out. This was the only sweep of the decade, and it should have been a sweep. I remember going into this series, I thought the Tigers were going to win it because they had Verlander, they had Miguel Cabrera, and they get swept. It's just that was tough.
Very tough. Nick.
Nick, are you not vibing?
He's not vibing.
Not really. This is it's just pain.
Hey, I'm there in 3 years, so
I have no words, man. This team should have won multiple World Series, and that's not even me being biased. Like, I'm not even talking about the lineup at this point. Just my pitching rotation my pitching rotation. Sorry, this pitching rotation, which is remarkable, top to bottom. This actually pitching rotation would go on to have a remarkable rest of their careers with different teams. Like Scherzer left, Cy Young. Porcello left, Cy Young. Sanchez was with us was the ERA leader. Verlander was Verlander. I curse our bullpen to this day because our bullpen was the biggest flaw of this team. Jose Valverde had a 54 ERA in the series. I don't even know. Like, what is going on? I don't know, man. You guys said it best. Probably the worst series of the decade. I don't blame you. We got swept. Yeah, it was just the Giants' time, man. It was an even year. We should have seen this coming. Watching Sergio Ramos strike out Miguel Cabrera for the last out of the series was really painful to watch. Yeah, it's just,
Michael, you share your screen. Can you show that last out?
Can you not, please?
That'll take too much time. I needed to have that prepped. Nick, we'll get a score for you.
Yeah, it's just a 1.
I was even thinking, like, was that the same year that the Galarraga game happened? But that was 2010. I'm like, ooh, that would have been rough. But,
so how are you in the rankings again? Is it? I say like
just he's just giving a score from like 1
score
to
1 to 10.
Yeah.
And okay, so 1's bad, right?
One's
yes.
This was 1. All right.
One's bad.
Let's move on. All right. Cool.
Yes, we'll move on. We'll save Nick from the pain. Bringing us to 2013, another really good World Series. Red Sox beating the Cardinals 4-2. Your series MVP was David Ortiz. I believe this was the year again against the Tigers where Ortiz had the grand slam, that historic grand slam game. Again, sorry, Nick. I feel like this is just a Nick hating segment. I feel bad, but we'll all get our moments of pain in this entire segment. But another really good series. I'm gonna go with a 7 on this one. A very solid series all around. The Birds versus the Beers. The Beards with a D. But we'll just kind of breeze through these because we're getting so caught up because these are such great series to talk about.
Okay, I'll do this quick. And I'm kind of disappointed in you, Michael, for this one. So obviously it was a grand slam by Poppy. Obviously it's awesome. But dude, what happened in 2013 in Boston, bro?
Oh, Boston bombing, yes.
The significance of this World Series, bro, meant so much to this city and to this team that has to be one of the best World Series in history. Like, it went to 6 games, yeah. But still, the significance of what this series meant for the Boston Red Sox team and the whole city of Boston and the United States in general is mesmerizing. So this was really neck and neck with the 2011 series for me, but I got to give it a 9 because obviously 2011 was different. But this series was just emotional from the beginning, from first pitch, ever since that incident happened. So I got to give it a 9.
Yeah, I went with an 8, and you mentioned it, Marco. Boston strong after the Boston bombing, and to see a city rally around a team like that was emotional and incredible at the same time. And I'm not a big Red Sox guy. I kind of hate them, but I was rooting for them because that's what you want to see. I also hate the Cardinals more than them, but just the momentum, the history, just the meaning of a title, of bringing a title to that city would mean after what happened. But let's talk about Big Papi for a second. Just kind of like Babe Ruth. Hit 688 in the series, 11 for 16. He was incredible. And then he also ended the Tigers with that grand slam. Sorry, Nick. But honestly, he was incredible throughout that whole postseason. But that World Series, he was record-level elite.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this series was cool. We were almost there. Joaquin Benoit threw a fastball on the first pitch of the at-bat, right down the middle. The funny part about it is the announcers called it. They're like, Ortiz is going to sit fastball here on first pitch. I was like, I actually cried that game. Like, I cried specifically during that game. Anyway, though, that's not even the series we're talking about. This 2013 World Series, Ryan said it best, cemented David Ortiz's legacy. He was actually possessed this entire postseason, start to finish. And Koji Uehara, too. One of those names we always forget. It was absolutely lights out closing wise. Overall, great series. I give it about an 8.
All right, so that brings us to a 32. That is a good number for that series, and that's going to bring us on. We're going to just, because we don't have much time, we only got 5 minutes left, we'll just say the series and the score. I wish we could spend more time on, but we had to spend so much on game.
Okay, Michael, if I may say so.
What?
I think this is an episode where we can go over. This is such a cool episode.
All right, we can, but we're going to have to shut it. We'll have to find a way to shut it down at 58 for Blaze. Then we'll just cut it, and we'll go a little over.
Blaze doesn't care about that. I don't think as much this year because they don't have much.
No, they said we have to cut it specifically at 58 minutes. So I don't know. I'll write to Ethan and ask him, but
let's just do this. Let's give our score, and as soon as we get 58, we cut it. But at the same time, we're just like after
we'll go back into it.
We'll go back. Here, let's do that.
Okay, that works for me.
Let's just say our scores and just close it out, and then after that, let's just do it.
Okay, cool. That works for me. See, this is great teamwork here. So that brings us to 2014, another really good series, and that is a series that everyone was really rallying behind. I'm taking too much time. I'm wasting time. I'm sorry. What am I doing? Giants beat the Royals 4-3. We're spending time on Ryan because Ryan lost the series. This is a great series nonetheless. I'm going to go with an 8.
I got an 8 too. Yeah, an 8 because it was the third championship. So for the Giants, so I'm gonna go 8 with you, Michael. I agree with you.
You know what, Nick? At least my team won a World Series. So,
here we go. Here we go.
According to 2014,
my team won a World Series. Okay, but moving on. This was a great series. I still hate Madison Bumgarner.
This is 4-3 Giants. I don't know. Is that a typo? Is that a typo?
Huh? What? Sorry?
This is 4-3. Giants.
All right, we'll banter more in running the bases more, but we'll go for scores.
This was so I cried, and I don't cry.
I cried in 2015 too,
and I lost it after Salvador Perez popped up, and I knew it on that pitch. I'm like, he's gonna go high and inside. That's Salvi's kryptonite. He's gonna pop up, and it's gonna be ball game. Next pitch, it freaking happened. Ah! and then Kansas City felt an earthquake from Pablo Sandoval falling onto the ground.
All right, let's get scores. We've only got 3 more minutes to do this.
Score was 7.
Okay.
All jokes aside, Ryan, you guys did 2 things we can never do: beat the Giants in the World Series and win a World Series. So, all jokes aside, this was
I take the compliment.
Yeah.
it was an amazing series. Madison Bumgarner really just suns the Royals. Unbelievable performances in and out. This series, I actually would give like a 8.5. Solid,
We'll round it up. We'll round it up to a 9 because we can't give half. So that brings us to a 32 for that series. And now let's strictly stick to scores, okay? Because we genuinely only have 2 minutes. 2015 Royals Mets. I'm going to give this one a 6. 3 for Marco. 3. Wow, that's funny. All right, Ryan. Come on, we've only got 2 minutes.
Sir, that's a crime.
We'll talk about it more and more. If you're watching on Blaze and you want to hear us talk about the rest, go to our YouTube. So we'll round that up to a 7. Nick?
7.
Okay, so that's a 23 for that series. That brings us to 2016 Cubs Indians, another phenomenal series, start to finish. I'm going to give this one a 9. Oh, I can't see Marco. Sorry, 7.
7.
This was actually my highest rated. I forgot about this one. I put this one at a 9.5.
So 10.
Okay, which rounds up to 10.
This one has to be a 10 for me. This has to be one of the best.
All right, that gives it a 36. And again, Marco, just say your things. I'm looking at the document. Astros,
Okay.
Dodgers in 2017. I'm going to give this one a 9.
1. Just the fact because they cheated.
Okay.
I went a 7 on this one.
Like, it was a great series, but the fact they cheated, it ruins it.
I'm
Cheated
gonna
on the roster.
give it like a 6.
Okay. Unfortunate because that was such a great series, but 23 for them. 2018, this is a good series all around. I'm going to actually give this one a 7 as well for the Red Sox Dodgers.
5. I gave it a 5.
I gave it a 4.
All
Give
right.
it a 5.
I gave it a 5.
Okay. That's a 21 for that series, and then the Nationals and the Astros. This is another phenomenal series. I'm going to stick with the 9 for this one.
6.
I went with
6,
an 8.5,
all right.
but rounds up to 9. But Michael, I'm going to say
All right.
something real quick. On the document, you put the series MVP was Howie Kendrick. It was actually Steven Strasburg.
Oh, you're right. Why did I write Howie Kendrick? I'm having – wow. That was some
Wow,
Mandela.
He was the NLCS MVP.
That name taunts me. Oh, my gosh.
All right. Nick, what you got for a score?
8.
All right, that brings that to a 32. So that's going to wrap it up. If you are listening to us on Blaze, we appreciate you coming out and listening to our show today. It was a really good one. If you want to hear us talk a little bit more about the rest of these World Series, go over and check out the YouTube channel at Running the Bases Podcast. You can go check that out now. If you are listening on Blaze again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys all next week. But we're still here. We're on YouTube. We're listening in. So we've got to go back. We've got to chat a little bit more. This is an important show to discuss a little more in the middle of the World Series. And I like this. We can go over now. I like this. This is a great idea. We need to keep doing this if we're pressed for time. So where were we? Were we on 2013 or 2014 when we left it off? I think we were
2014.
2014.
Yeah, we talked enough about 2013. So 2014 World Series, the second straight World Series we gave a 32 to. The Giants and the Royals here. I mean, all together, this was a great series just because of how good it was. And anytime you go 7 games, you're going to get a good series. And in this series, your MVP was Madison Bumgarner. Obviously, we will see Madison Bumgarner's name come up a lot in this series. And we'll also see it right here on hold on. You see it? Can you? No, wrong way. This way. Right here.
Ryan, have you seen Michael's collection of baseball shirts like in person?
Actually, yes, I have. And I have decided, since Michael and I will be seeing each other tomorrow, I'm going to be taking his card and just cutting it up because he is really not doing well with his financials.
I went to go see Game 3 at his place, and I'm like, my gosh.
Yeah.
This is
So
ridiculous.
really, what it's got to come down to is just you got to cut the
Oh,
cord.
this is turning into me. This is
You gotta
turning into.
cut the cord. I feel so bad for your mom and dad, Michael, who have to deal with your Jersey addiction. So, Mr. and Mrs. Garaffa, I am so sorry, and I will make sure to take care of the code.
What'd you say?
DHK.
That
I was
DHK.
Hey, that's $32 for a jersey. This shirt was only $14, and
it's a jersey for $20.
Hey, we'll see what it comes in as.
It's a jersey, not a shirt.
It was 32 because it was more of a, like, I don't know. It's just whatever.
Oh, it's one of the custom ones because you like David Wright so much.
Yeah,
As you
dude,
should.
I love David Wright. He's a fantastic player, great guy. If you haven't, you should check out his book. Not a sponsor, but great. I'm gonna buy that book. So 2014
Which
World
one?
Series, shall we?
Which one?
The David Wright released a book. I forgot what it's called.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
a book written by David Wright. It's a great book. Talks about his injuries and how he had to deal with them. But the 2014 World Series was the Giants' third in the even years. I mean, Giants beating the Royals in 7 games. Anytime a series goes 7 games, it's going to be fun. Madison Bumgarner was electric. He got the Giants to that game 7 with his pitching, and then got the Giants to a World Series win with his pitching. And I mean, we gave it our scores already, and I mean the 32 final score that's a pretty high number.
Yeah, that Madison Bumgarner, it was basically what set his legacy, because before Madison, everyone was like, Lincecum, and obviously Lincecum, like, he left, and he was just garbage. But once he left, Bumgarner was the man, and this proved how great of a player he is. And the fact that he could hit too, it's scary, But him coming into game 7, man, that was just a great outing, Like, it made me nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is about to go down. And it did. It did. And I'll never forget that catch by Pablo Sandoval on the third baseline. Just catch it, instantly falls down. And I'm like, wow, they're champions once again for the third time in 6 years.
And they beat the
Amazing.
Royals. I mean, who can complain about that?
I'm not as messed up as you, Michael. I won't say, hey, they beat the Royals, Ryan. No, I'll be like, hey, they
You
won.
can say it. Someone brought up Big Papi's Grand Slam, so we can bring up.
That was me, though, to be fair.
You see?
No,
Yeah,
also right.
he mentioned it first.
Okay, let's all
Go
back
ahead.
Michael. How many World Series have you been to in the last 10 years? One, then you
Hey,
lost.
one. Hey.
Yeah,
You
How many do you
You
want
won
to work
one game, and you
You
won
want
one game.
This is also because you guys are going to be leaving. Because we do have some ties here. We'll circle back a little bit. I think it's more important to focus on the final scores because we gave our scores and focus on the final scores because
Don't
we
do
do
this. We still have to go over 2015.
we can
Don't
go
do
over
it.
2015 next, but because Marco and Nick gotta go, I don't want to waste too much time. 2015 World Series, Mets Royals. I know we'll give Ryan his special time. I'll even let you completely sum it up. Let's try and keep it to under 2 minutes. I'll let you take the floor.
Game 1.
Oh,
cemented.
shoot. You're starting with game 1? Damn.
Alex Gordon's legacy
God.
was cemented that day in Kansas City. The one around first base, game tying home run off Familia, terrific. Game 2, Cueto shut him down. And game 3, congrats, you got the win. Yeah, cool. Game 4, the Royals bullpen that was electric, allowed 1 run over 5 innings. Then game 5. I'm just gonna say one name for you, Michael. Lucas Duda.
Oh my God! Wait a minute.
Harvey.
Oh, wait, but do you remember? You guys remember with the 3? Who was the 3-1 deficit that lost it? It was the Braves, and it was the Indians that did They said the 3-1 meeting is on Tuesdays. Yeah, the support group. I think we have to have the Lucas Duda support group, and he needs to tag Chris Taylor or Max Muncy on that one. and have the Lucas Duda, the throwaway support group, meets on Fridays. Max Muncy come and join us. But Ryan, you can keep going. Yes.
Game 5. Terrific game. Really, a great game. Hosmer goes very ballsy and goes home. Luckily, that horrible throw from Duda. And then Christian Colon. Talk about heroes being made in the World Series. Game-winning RBI, Christian Colon. First World Series in 30 years. I cried that night of pure happiness.
I cried too.
It was terrific. Do you know what the one thing I hated?
I hope I could
about
do the
that
same
game?
in Game 6. I hope I could do the same in Game 6. I hope so.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what that one thing I hated about the end of the 2015 World Series? I hated that Drew Butero was behind the plate catching Wade Davis's inside called strike 3. I wanted that to be Salvi. So that's the one thing I hated about the end of that series. But Royals won the World Series.
True. You won a World Series.
Give us that. Yeah, at least we could win some games in a series. Okay, moving on. Royals World Series champions. Let's go.
All right, so let's review what we've got because the other series we don't need to go any more into. We'll talk about each one a little more if we want to with the rankings. So number 1 on the rankings by far, the 2011 World Series with the Cardinals and the Rangers. I mean, there's nothing else to say. 39 out of 40, almost perfect, and that is an incredible score. The number 2 spot standing alone is another phenomenal World Series, and that is the Indians Cubs when the Cubs broke their streak of the 100 and how many? 8 years. So they broke the streak. They get 36. They finish in second as the second best World Series of the decade. Then we have a three-way tie for third place. So in that three-way tie, we have the 2013 World Series, which is between why am I blanking on this? The 2013 World Series with the Red Sox and the Cardinals, the 2014 World Series with the Giants and the Royals, and then the 2019 World Series with the Nationals and the Astros. So we have to do a little tiebreaker here. So we'll think a little deeper about it and then give it we'll give it a score from 0 to 5. We'll do an extra bonus score, all of us, from 0 to 5, and then we'll tally that up and determine that. So starting with the 2013 World Series, this is a good World Series. Again, Marco, you mentioned the Boston bombing. I am going to give it a 4 from the premise of how emotional it was, but then we'll just say your scores and then we'll do the tiebreaker that way.
If it's a tiebreaker, I'm going 5.
All right. Marco's going 5.
Yeah.
Tiebreaker, 5.
Okay. Nick?
I was going to say 5. 5 sounds good, yeah.
All right. So, wow, that's impressive. So we've got a 19.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
It's magical.
Yeah.
I agree. That was a great World Series. And that brings us to the 2014 World Series, the next year between the Royals and the Giants. I'm going to go a little lower here. I'm going to go with a 3.
What, 2014 you said?
Yeah, Giants Royals.
I'm going to go with that with a 4. I'm going to go with the 4 on that one. Yeah.
2.
Wow. Oh, okay. Makes sense.
All right, Nick, what you got?
4.
All right, so that series will get a bonus score of a 13. So that puts them in second place. Then 2019 World Series between the Astros and the Nationals. I'm going to go and give this one a 5. I think this was the best one out of the 3, just in my opinion.
Wow. Once again, you disappoint me again, bro. But I'll give this one a 4.
Okay.
4.
All right.
4.
All right. So that'll put them at 17 points. So that officially gives us the 2013 World Series is the number 3 World Series. Again, these are all by our rankings. 2013 World Series between the Red Sox and the Cardinals. I keep forgetting. They will be number 3 32 points, and then they will get the little extra bonus point there. And then fourth place, the 2019 World Series between the Astros and the Nationals. That was another great series that gets the fourth place spot. And number 5 is a 2014 World Series between the Royals and the Giants. All of them had 32 points, but we did rank them that way. Then we have another tie for 6 and 7. In the 6th spot, we have in time for the 6th spot, we have the 2015 World Series and the 2017 World Series. In the 2015, that's the Mets and the Royals. The 2017, we have the Astros and the why am I getting blanking on this? The Astros, the Dodgers.
Are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding? Okay, me? I'll give you my scores because I gotta go.
Yes, you go. This is the only other tiebreaker. Yeah. Just give it out of a 5 for both.
Royals. Who are they playing again? I forgot.
Mets.
Royals. Mets. My bad. I give that 2.
Okay.
As a tiebreaker.
Okay.
And Astros Dodgers 0.
Wow.
They cheated, bro.
I'm gonna go real quick, Nick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
For me, Royals, Mets.
You're gonna give a 5 because you're a Royals fan.
No,
the reason why,
in all honesty, I'm unbiased, so I'm actually gonna say a 3.
Yeah, I only said 2 because of the fact that it was pretty lopsided. You know, if it was.
And then Dodgers, Astros, I gotta go 1 just because the Astros cheated. That's really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, like I said, excuse me, it was a great series, but just the fact that they cheated makes it a difference. It really does.
Right, Nick.
Royals, Mets. I'm gonna go 2, and then Astros, Dodgers. Yeah, like a 1. That was just terrible for the whole city of LA.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'm going to give the Royals Mets series. Or if you guys are all leaving, you can go. I can wrap it up if you want. If you want to catch the end, because we're going to be finishing in just a minute. So it seems like Nick's going.
Let's just breeze. Like tell me the other ones, and I'll say my scores really quick.
Well, there's no need for scores because there's no other ties. So it's just wrapping up the series.
So just say your numbers real quick, and then we'll know.
2015 World Series, I'm going to give it a 2. So you have a 2 plus a 2 plus a 3 plus another 2, which is a 9 there. And then you have the other World Series. I'm going to give it a 3 just because it was fun to watch, but it still puts it behind. So the 2015 World Series stays at number 6. 2017 World Series stays at 7. 2018 World Series with the Red Sox and the Dodgers will finish at 8th with 28 points or 21 points. And then in 9th, the 2010 World Series. And then in 10th, the 2012 World Series. So a solid show. Thank you, everybody, for coming on and listening. We went a little over the time, but again, we might start doing this if we need to, if we have that extra time. But thank you, everyone, for tuning on in this week. It was a great show. Enjoy the end of the World Series. The next time we're here, we have a World Series champion. Don't forget that. It's going to be a lot of fun.